let's talk about something pretty much all of us have spent a huge chunk of our lives doing: going to school. We're talking thousands and thousands of hours in classrooms. But have you ever stopped to really think about what it's all for? Well, today we're going to dive into what sociology has to say about the real purpose of our education system. You know, this quote really captures the dream of education, doesn't it? The idea is that schools should be this amazing place that helps every single person discover what they're capable of and, realize their full potential. It's a really beautiful and inspiring ideal. But, and this is the big but, here's the question that sociologists have been wrestling with for a long, long time. Does the school system we actually have live up to that amazing promise? Or maybe, just maybe, is it set up to work a lot better for some people than for others? And that's the real tension we're going to unpack here. Okay, so first, let's start with the official story, the one we all kind of learned growing up. We're told that school serves all these super important functions for society to work. And it's about way more than just learning algebra or history, right? It's about building us into citizens. And when you look at this list, wow, it's a lot. Schools are supposed to pass on our culture, teach us how to be adults, give us a moral compass, get us ready for the world of work, and help us grow as people. So from this point of view, school is basically the foundation of everything. It's what keeps societies stable and functioning. So this brings us to the heart of the debate. Sociologists have these two completely different ways of looking at what school really does. So what is it? Is it a ladder that anyone, no matter who they are, can climb just based on their talent? Or is it more like a giant sorting machine, one that's designed to keep people right where they are? All right, let's break this down. Over on one side, you've got the functionalist view. This perspective says school is a good thing for everybody. It's a meritocracy, meaning it sorts people by their natural abilities and puts them in the right jobs, which keeps society stable. But then on the other side, you have the conflict view, which says, whoa, not so fast. It argues that school is actually a tool used by the powerful to maintain the status quo, to reproduce inequality from one generation to the next, and to make it all seem perfectly fair. Okay, so to really get what the conflict perspective is all about, we have to look past the subjects we learn, like math and science. We need to dig into the unspoken lessons, the hidden rules that are just baked into the system itself. And the key idea here is something called cultural capital. A sociologist named Pierre Bourdieu came up with this. Basically, think of it like, well, a different kind of wealth. It's not about money. It's about the social stuff, the way you speak, the way you dress, the books and music you're familiar with. And here's the kicker. Schools are set up to value and reward the cultural capital that middle and upper class kids tend to have. So what does this actually look like? Well, think about it. A kid who grows up around classical art has a built-in advantage in art class. A kid whose parents know exactly how to talk to teachers and navigate the school bureaucracy has a huge leg up. And this has nothing to do with how smart someone is. It's about having the right cultural toolkit that the school already recognizes and values. And this right here just nails the point. A sociologist named Basil Bernstein found that different social classes tend to use different speech codes. So the middle class often uses an elaborated code where everything is spelled out very explicitly. Meanwhile, the working class might use a restricted code, which relies more on shared, unspoken context. The problem? Schools are almost entirely built around that elaborated code. So right from the very first day of kindergarten, some kids are speaking the right language, and others are at an immediate disadvantage. And that brings us to an even bigger question. It's not just about how we communicate in school, it's about what we're actually taught. I mean, who decides which version of history gets told? Which books are considered classics? Which ideas are important enough that every child needs to learn them? This is so important to understand. The curriculum, what we learn in school, it's not some objective list of facts that just fell out of the sky. It's the result of arguments and power struggles. What we call knowledge is really just a selection, a specific version of reality that tends to reflect the interests and values of the most powerful groups in society. I mean, just look at this timeline. It makes it so clear. The very idea of what an educated person is changes over time. Back in the medieval era, it was the cleric. Then in the Renaissance, it was the well-rounded courtier. In the colonial era, they needed administrators to run the empire. And today, it's the specialized professional. You see how each model perfectly suits the needs of whoever is in charge at the time? Okay, so after all that, where are we? Is school a tool for setting people free or for keeping them down? Well, the tough answer is it's both. It's like a double-edged sword that can cut in two very, very different directions. And if you want to see what this looks like in the real world,
Just look at this data. It's absolutely staggering. The odds of a kid from a professional family getting into a university are about 1 in 6. For a kid from an unskilled workers family, those odds plummet to 1 in 600. That is a 100 times difference. That's pretty much the opposite of a meritocracy. It shows you in black and white that your family background is still a massive predictor of your future.
But it's not all doom and gloom. It's actually more complicated than that. So yes, education very often reproduces the inequalities that already exist. But at the same time, it is also a real pathway for some people to achieve upward mobility. And, this is critical, it can also be a place of subversion, a place where people learn to question the system and maybe even change it. And the crazy thing is, it's doing all three of these contradictory things at once. So, at the end of the day, school is so much more than just a place to learn stuff. It's a battleground. It's where our ideas about fairness and equality clash with the hard realities of power and privilege. And since all of us are part of this system, as students or parents or teachers or just citizens, we're all left with a pretty big question to think about. What role are you going to play?